Imagine this. You're broke, your rent's due, and your city's hosting a huge design conference. Hotels are fully booked, but you have an idea. What if you rented out air mattresses on your apartment floor for strangers to sleep on, and made breakfast for them? Sounds crazy, right? But that $1 idea, quite literally, sparked one of the biggest hospitality revolutions of our time. This is the story of how Airbnb turned a simple air mattress concept into a global empire, built on trust, community, and some seriously clever growth hacks. Before we dive in, if you love stories about business genius, startup breakthroughs, and ideas that change the world, make sure to hit that subscribe button and join our community of curious minds. All right, let's get started. From airbeds to Airbnb. In 2007, Brian Chesky and Joe Gebbia were two struggling designers living in San Francisco. Rent was sky high, and they could barely afford to keep their apartment. Around that time, the city was hosting a major design conference, and every hotel was sold out. That's when Joe had a light bulb moment. What if they turned their living room into a tiny bed and breakfast for conference attendees? They bought 3 air mattresses, created a simple website called Air Bed and Breakfast, and offered a place to stay for $80 a night, plus breakfast in the morning. That weekend, they hosted 3 guests, a man from India, a woman from Boston, and a father from Utah. Those guests didn't just sleep on airbeds, they had conversations, shared meals, and built friendships, and that's when Brian and Joe realized something powerful. People didn't just want a place to stay, they wanted to belong. This idea, creating a sense of belonging, became the emotional foundation of Airbnb's brand. When no one believed. But of course, great ideas don't turn into billion-dollar companies overnight. After that first weekend, things got tough. They tried launching the site multiple times, but no one was booking. Investors didn't get it. The idea of letting strangers sleep in your home sounded insane back then. Brian, Joe, and their friend Nathan Blacharczyk, who later joined as a co-founder, were desperate. They maxed out credit cards and even sold cereal boxes called Obama O's and Cap'n McCain's during the 2008 election to raise money. It was half a joke, but it made them $30,000. That's the crazy part. Airbnb was kept alive by cereal money. But this struggle taught them a key lesson about marketing. People don't buy what you're selling. They buy the story. And that's a principle they'd later use to make Airbnb explode globally. Building trust. Here's the thing. In 2008, the biggest obstacle wasn't competition, it was trust. Think about it. Would you let a stranger stay in your house or sleep in a stranger's apartment across the world? Most people said, no way. So Airbnb needed to find a way to turn fear into confidence. They realized that trust equals transparency plus accountability. So, they built features that made hosts and guests feel safe. Profile photos and verified IDs, so everyone knew who they were dealing with. Two-way reviews, where both the guest and host could rate each other. Secure payment systems that held money until the stay was complete. And later, the $1 million host guarantee, which covered damages, giving hosts total peace of mind. That $1 million protection wasn't just an insurance policy, it was a marketing masterstroke. It told the world, we've got your back. This is where Airbnb's real genius showed. They didn't just create a platform, they created a culture of trust. Professional photos changed everything. In the early days, the founders noticed something strange. Most listings on Airbnb looked terrible. Blurry phone photos, bad lighting, messy rooms. People were skipping those listings not because the places were bad, but because the pictures were. So Brian and Joe went door to door in New York City with a camera. They personally took professional photos for each listing. Within a week, bookings doubled. That's when they learned another golden rule. Perception is reality. They later scaled this into an official Airbnb photography program, sending trained photographers to homes worldwide. The result? Trust went up. Conversion rates skyrocketed. and hosts started treating their listings like small businesses. A single growth hack, better photos, turned Airbnb from a quirky startup into a professional marketplace. The Craigslist connection. Here's one of Airbnb's most brilliant and controversial growth hacks. When they were struggling to attract users, they realized Craigslist had millions of people looking for short-term rentals. So, Airbnb built a tool that let their hosts automatically cross-post listings to Craigslist. That meant every Airbnb host's property instantly reached a massive audience, without spending a dime on ads. This hack wasn't officially sanctioned by Craigslist, but it worked like magic. Overnight, traffic surged, hosts got more bookings, and guests started migrating from Craigslist to Airbnb. That clever move, exploiting a bigger platform's audience, became a textbook case of growth hacking genius. The power of referrals. Airbnb also mastered the art of referrals. They studied how companies like PayPal grew and noticed that word of mouth combined with rewards could spark exponential growth. So they introduced a simple referral system. Invite a friend to join Airbnb. If they book, you get travel credit. They get travel credit too. It turned their users into their best marketers. This wasn't just about free money. It was about creating an emotional loop. You were helping a friend travel affordably while getting rewarded. That made it feel personal and fun, not like a transaction. Referrals became one of Airbnb's strongest engines for user acquisition, helping them scale into new cities almost effortlessly. Designing for emotion. One thing that truly separated Airbnb from other travel platforms was their focus on emotion over transaction. Their early slogan said it all: belong anywhere. It wasn't about beds or rooms, it was about experiences, human connection, and cultural exchange. They wanted people to feel something when they used Airbnb. Brian Chesky, who was a designer by background, obsessed over small details, from the look of the app to the way hosts communicated. Every piece of design was meant to create comfort, warmth, and community. They even created Airbnb experiences, where locals could host tours, cooking classes, and adventures. That move transformed Airbnb from a booking app into a lifestyle brand. It's a reminder that design isn't just what something looks like, it's how it makes you feel. Storytelling as a brand weapon. Airbnb didn't spend millions on traditional ads in the early years. Instead, they told stories. They shared real stories from hosts and guests. A woman who paid her rent by hosting travelers, a man who turned his home into a cultural hub, or a couple who met lifelong friends through Airbnb. These stories humanized the brand. They turned strangers into community members and customers into believers. One of their most viral campaigns was called Belong Anywhere. It didn't show rooms or prices. It showed hugs, laughter, and local experiences. It said, "We're not a company that rents rooms. We help you find a home anywhere in the world." And that emotional connection became Airbnb's greatest marketing advantage. When trust was tested. Every great company faces a moment of crisis, and Airbnb was no different. In 2011, a host blogged that a guest had trashed her apartment, stolen her things, ruined her property. The story went viral, and people began to question Airbnb's safety. For a company built on trust, this was a nightmare. But here's where Airbnb did something few companies dare to do. They faced it head-on. Brian Chesky personally responded, apologized publicly, and within days, Airbnb introduced the $1 million host guarantee and a 24/7 customer support line. Instead of losing trust, they gained more of it. That crisis actually strengthened their brand, proving that when you protect your community protects you back. The turning point. By 2011, Airbnb was still small, but growing fast. That's when Sequoia Capital decided to invest $112 million. Suddenly, the idea that once sounded crazy, renting out your home to strangers, was becoming mainstream. And the timing was perfect. The rise of smartphones, social media, and the sharing economy created the ideal storm. Airbnb exploded from a few thousand users to millions of hosts and guests worldwide. Cities like Paris, Tokyo, and Rio became Airbnb hotspots. The world was changing, and people were embracing the idea of travel built on trust and connection. The secret sauce: community over competition. Airbnb's growth wasn't just about tech or clever hacks. It was about community. They treated hosts as partners, not suppliers. They built meetups, host clubs, and ambassador programs. They created educational resources, branding kits, and training, helping hosts succeed. They understood that every happy host meant a better experience for guests, and that cycle of happiness fueled unstoppable growth. That's what made Airbnb different from other booking sites. It wasn't about algorithms or inventory. It was about humans helping humans. The $1 idea that changed everything. So, what was the real $1 idea behind Airbnb? It wasn't just the air mattress. It was the belief that trust could be built between strangers. $1, one night, one connection at a time. Airbnb proved that people around the world are more open, kind, and curious than we think. And that technology, when used right, can bring us closer, not farther apart. Today, Airbnb is worth tens of billions, with over 4 million hosts and 1.5 billion guest arrivals. But it all started with 2 guys, 3 airbeds, and a crazy idea about belonging. If you found this story inspiring, the struggles, the hacks, and the lessons behind Airbnb's rise, then don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications for more stories of business brilliance and startup success. Remember, sometimes the smallest idea can open the biggest doors. Maybe your $1 idea is waiting to change the world next.